Hello and welcome to the Duluth News Tribune's Bulldog Insider podcast. I'm your host, Matt Wellens, the Bulldogs hockey beat reporter at the News Tribune.
And I'm Zach Schneider, the television voice of Bulldogs hockey on My Nine Sports.
Our guest this week on the podcast is a freshman goaltender for the Bulldogs men's hockey team. This one hails from Waterville, Ohio. Welcome to the podcast, Klayton Knapp.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Waterville, Ohio, probably not as interesting as Poprad, Slovakia, but Waterville, tell us quickly about that.
Yeah, so Waterville, well, when I was born, it was, I don't know, just probably a few thousand people, and it's grown to probably over 10,000 now. It's a small town with all the big town amenities, and like I always say, like my neighborhood was kind of like the original go-to neighborhood, and across the street was just a bunch of cornfields. We had a little shopping mart. It was great, and now all of a sudden we have all these huge shopping stores, and the entire cornfield across from me is all neighborhoods now and all these parks and stuff. So yeah, it's just a small little town, great community. Everybody knows everybody, and yeah, it's a great place to grow up.
What city is that by? What's the big city it's by in Ohio?
Toledo.
Toledo. Okay.
Yeah, about 20 minutes south of Toledo.
Okay. Is Toledo considered a big city? Ohio's got enough.
Big enough.
Big enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Ohio, it's big enough.
It's for Ohio. It meets the threshold.
Did you have to go to Toledo when you were growing up as a hockey player? Is that kind of the hockey hub, or did Waterville have a decent enough?
No, Waterville, there's no rink.
Okay.
We always joked about like making a rink because a lot of people like started to play hockey, so always joked about like, oh, let's all put together money and make one. But obviously, financially, that's quite a burden. So. I just went to, it's called Sylvania, and it's basically Toledo. I mean, there's rinks in Toledo, but Sylvania is kind of where everybody went. Or it's only 50 minutes or an hour up to Detroit.
Yeah, I think this is one of the things that Minnesotans don't realize is that not everyone grew up with a hockey rink 5 minutes from their house, or around here, multiple hockey rinks within 5 minutes of their house.
Yeah, like no high school around me. Like everybody has their own rink. You got all the rinks around here and everything. Like Hermantown has their own rink.
Every town has at least one.
We had like 10 high schools sharing one rink for high school hockey. So there was really never a home team. Like I don't understand why they put home and away up on the board. It was everybody's home rink. So
we had your fellow freshman goaltender Adam Gajan of Slovakia on during the first half of the season. That was right before you got your first start at Arizona State. Adam had been working through an ankle injury. He got back on the ice last weekend at Omaha. During that first half, you played briefly in the exhibition against Manitoba. You relieved Adam in the games against North Dakota. But take us through your first semester of hockey as you sat and watched others get chances in net until finally this run. I think you made 10 consecutive starts there until Adam started last Saturday. Yeah,
I mean, obviously that first half was pretty tough for sure. Mentally, it was hard. Later in the first half, closer to Christmas, it was getting tough, to wake up and get motivated to go to the rink. And I mean, I knew that was all part of it, but obviously, it's part of being a goalie. It's part of this level. And, I can only control what I do. I don't control who plays. I don't control, how other people perform. I can only control what I do each and every day. So just had to remind myself what I was working for. This is a 4-year development process, not just a 1-year thing, obviously. So, that first semester was tough, adjusting to college hockey. I think the transition was a lot easier than I thought. I mean, not easy, but it went better than I thought. Definitely good to get in there against North Dakota and a couple nights there, and then Arizona State went well until I got hurt. But yeah, it was tough. It was a really hard first semester, so it was good to go home for Christmas break and get away from everything and just kind of digest what had happened, and coming back to the second half knowing there was a chance to get in there. And then when I heard I was getting the nod against Bemidji, my mindset was, let's go in there, take the net and don't give it back. And, that's kind of been my mindset for this entire second half and moving forward.
Is it a harder process mentally or physically when you go through that first half? I mean, obviously you got practices and you got really good teammates that are shooting on you every day, but it's hard to simulate game environments. So is it harder mentally to sit there, or physically once you get in against Bemidji and you go on that string of starts? I'm sure it feels better when you're playing meaningful games every Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, mentally 100%. I think goaltending is truly harder mentally than is anything else. I mean, obviously, physically it's pretty demanding, and you see, kind of the stuff we have to do back there, and people think it's easy until they do it. But yeah, I mean, like I said before, mentally it was tough. It's really tough. And, even in some of those games where you don't get a lot of action for, let's say a 5-7 minute stretch of a period, and then all of a sudden you take a couple penalties and you're killing, and you're facing one-timers from guys that can smoke the thing pretty good. So yeah, it's hard for sure mentally, I'd say, over physically.
That first semester, that wasn't the first time you found yourself kind of in that backup role, not playing consistently. You went through something similar with the Green Bay Gamblers in the USHL a couple of years ago. What was that, 22, 23?
Yeah.
For a goaltender, what can be learned in those moments of your career, and how do you get better not playing?
Well, yeah, like the Green Bay example, honestly, I had no control whether I could play or not because I couldn't even walk for 3 months. So, the whole injury in Green Bay, and then obviously coming back, and we were in a really tight spot, and our other goalie, Chris Eberle, is at Ohio State now. I mean, he was playing great hockey, and luckily him and I had a great relationship, so obviously super supportive of him and happy that he was playing well. But, through that injury, I learned how to not play, which is something you don't want to learn how to do, but you have to learn how to do it. My entire life until then, I've played every single game, like through youth hockey, and even my first year juniors, like played every game I knew I was going to play. Like, that's just how it was. And then to have to learn how to do that was tough, especially when I came back from injury. I only played, I think, like 7 or 8 games or so, and then I didn't play for 13 games, which was really hard. So, I think that experience definitely kind of helped me with that first half of this year. And, obviously it's something, like I said, out of my control. So just kind of take what life gives me and handle it the best I can.
How much different was the experience? I mean, the exhibition game, kind of that was your first real, I guess, true experience. But then coming in against North Dakota, when Adam gets pulled both those nights, compare that, like your first meaningful experience in a UMD uniform, to your first start. Like, how much different is it? I mean, it's a tough spot to come in and play your first, regular season minutes against a North Dakota team that was beating up on you guys pretty good at Amsoil, and I think it was early November, right? Mid-November.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny because I always joke. So last year I played in Bismarck, and my host family was just, huge North Dakota fans, and I always joked. I was like, hey, watch, my first game's going to be against North Dakota. And obviously, fast forward a little bit of time there and played against North Dakota. But back to your question, it's totally different, right? Like the Manitoba series, obviously it matters. I don't want to go in there and lay an egg, but like you said, it's an exhibition game against a team that's, it's not a Division I hockey school. And not to say there wasn't challenges to come with it, but obviously it's way different than playing against North Dakota. Just stepping in there and looking around, and, I was nervous at first a little bit, but I made that first save, and I remember Brant was like, way to fight that first one off, because, he knew I was a little nervous. Everybody is. Coming off the bench is hard, too. But it felt really good, especially, that Friday game, I think they scored a power play goal, and they got a shorthanded goal. But then Saturday, I pretty much played the entire game except for the first 6 minutes, and I think I gave up 1 on 21 or something like that, or 1 on 20. So, it felt good to get in there, and I'm glad I got that experience before my first start at Arizona State, and definitely glad to have those experiences before I've started 9, 10, 11 in a row here.
You mentioned Brant Nicklin. Where has he helped you get better as a goaltender?
I think he's just helped me simplify everything. That's the biggest thing coming in here. I've got the physical tools. I'm not the biggest guy, but I've got a good base. I feel like I'm pretty athletic. I can read the play and everything like that. But it's all just about simplifying things. When we watch video every week, Brant's like, great save. We can do this to make it easier. If I make, let's say, a backdoor save or something, great save, but if we do this, we can make it a little bit easier. And so that's really where he's helped me transform my game, moving less, staying within the crease, not chasing players, just overall making it easier on myself. And I think that's really helped, especially as I've played more games, to try to conserve some energy from Friday to Saturday, especially.
So what you're saying is he's trying to help you make. We've talked about this before. He's trying to help you make fewer highlight reel saves out there, isn't he? Right?
Yeah. I think I get his heart rate up a little bit too much sometimes.
That's part of his job. That's the key to being a good goaltender, right? We love seeing the highlight reel saves, but the fewer of those you have to make, the better, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially for the bench, if they see me just make a simple save as opposed to having to go into the splits or push across the crease and make a good save. Obviously, it helps the bench know that Klayton's reading the play well and he's on top of his game and he's not scrambling. So if he's not playing all high and energetic and stuff, we can calm down on the bench too as a team and hopefully make some more cleaner, easier plays.
What is that transition from like a USHL level to this level? I mean, not only that, Scott has talked about, both you and Adam, the compete level that you have, not giving up on plays that are, bouncing pucks around the crease or rebounds or things like that, but also just understanding the game, when to cover pucks, when to move pucks, things like that. I think the goaltenders that reach a really high level just have such a good sense of the game about when guys are at the end of a shift and they need a save or a puck out of play or things like that. Is that like a market difference from a USHL to what you're talking about with Brandt in the goalie room now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely part of growing up. It's part of maturing as a goalie is, realizing who's on the ice. I mean, not only for our team, but the other team too. Knowing where there's one-time threats, what hand guys are, when you watch video, kind of who's on the ice, how are they going to enter the zone, what are they going to try to do. Obviously, you can't cheat a play, but you can hopefully anticipate it a little bit and read and react off of that. But yeah, I mean, the transition is definitely one that's talked about, but it's hard to talk about until you actually do it. But yeah, I mean, I think like you said, it's just all about learning the game, understanding. And, me and Adam are both freshmen. I think the coaches understood that, we're both young. We both never played college hockey before. And so they've been really good at supporting us and not necessarily getting on us, but they've been teaching us in a great way of how to better understand the game to, help ourselves, but really help our team. And I think that's really led to success here in the second half.
Scott talks about this with other freshmen skaters, when they come in, that he wants them to understand the systems and he wants them to grow and develop mentally, but he also wants them to go out there and just play, because they're talented kids. And you and Adam are in the same boat. Whenever we asked Scott about goaltenders, he said if they stop the puck, I like them, and if they don't stop the puck, I don't like them as much.
Yep.
But
he tells us to ask Brandt. He just deflects every goaltending question we ask.
Right.
I don't know. Ask Brandt.
He doesn't get into it as much, the technicality. That's why he has Brandt on the staff, right? But for you guys, I mean, how much for goaltenders is it balancing what you're talking about, the mental, all the recognition that you can do, and then just going out and playing and trying to get in front of the puck?
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing is that you put in so much work during the week, and before every game, I just kind of reflect on all the work I've done, in my 21 years here on Earth about just to get to this point. And I mean, I'm sure maybe if you guys are watching, you see me talking to myself. I take my helmet off. Like I just constantly reminding myself of, I'm meant to be here. I've put in the work, and I don't remember who it was, but I remember watching this video and probably a couple years ago now, and it's like the only way you should be nervous before a game is if you haven't prepared the right way. And so, I mean, truly, like, I haven't gotten nervous before games. Obviously, the North Dakota series, I was only nervous because, I'm going in there and it's a little David versus Goliath a little bit because I had no idea what I was getting into. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just all about preparing Monday through Thursday. And, when you get in there, just go out there and, like Sandy says, just stop the puck. And Brandt will tell you how to do it better Monday through Thursday. But Friday and Saturday, just stop the dang thing and give us a chance to win. So.
Is Scott pretty hands-off with the goaltenders when it comes to goaltending and what you guys need to do?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not stopping the puck, he'll let you know for sure, and just not in a mean or a bad way, but just like, hey, like, I know you're capable of more, like, give me more, like, and I think that's great because, it's one thing to hear from the guys like, come on, Knapper, like, stop that thing, like, in practice, but obviously to have coach come over and say, Knapper, like, let's go, let's pick it up a notch or so. That's obviously a mental thing. Like I gotta be better. I gotta find a way to be better. And I think that's not necessarily me being, me and other players too. It's not being scared of the coaches or anything. It's not only just Coach Sandlin. It's all the other three coaches too. It's just the respect level we have for him, and it's the understanding of what this program is. The expectation's high, and we knew that coming in. So, to be pushed to that level, and there's a reason. Individually and as a program, we've had so much success here at UMD.
Can we talk a little bit about the superstitions? Matt wrote a really funny article where he was able to quote Michael Scott about you earlier in the semester, or in the season rather. But fans have picked up on it too. Yeah. You come out of media timeouts and do your routine at the goal crease with the net and stuff like that. Where did that stuff start? And I mean, goaltenders are a rare breed. We know this already, but some of yours are more visible than maybe some of the others. Like Adams might happen in the locker room and we don't get to see them. But yours are out there for everyone to see.
Well, I mean, I think it's not necessarily something I just woke up one day and I'm like, oh, this would be cool for fans to see. Like, I mean, it's just kind of, I've always had something like when I tap the post. That started when I was way younger. The whole eye thing kind of started in my last year of youth hockey and U18s to juniors a little bit. And then I think last year, like what I do now is really like kind of when I developed what I did what I do now is I kind of developed it last year, just over the course of the season. I probably did it once and made a good save and was like, oh, I only made that save because I did this. So, but no, it's just something that I truly don't even think about when I do it. Like, it just happens naturally. And then, I'm scrolling through Instagram and Twitter and stuff, and I see myself, I'm like, what am I doing? But, in the moment, I have no idea. But, it's just something that helps me stay in the game. It helps me keep a rhythm. And, there's certain things I say to myself during a game that, are just constant reminders of, how to stay in the game and what I'm out there to do. So, like you said, I'm a goalie at the end of the day. So,
Goalies, you're not the only goalie that either A, talks to himself, or B, talks to their goal. I think Patrick Waugh famously would get caught having full-on conversations
Marc-Andre Fleury
with his goal. Fleury would do it, Waughs were pretty animated, but as we now know, Patrick Waugh is not all right up there and such. Not a surprise. How much of that is part of it is you're alone back there in the goal? Like forwards and defensemen can sit there and talk during a game with their D partners. Forward lines are sitting there; they're going to talk on the bench or in the game. You're back there alone. Yeah, guys will occasionally come back, give you a tap of the pads, but how much of that is just you need someone to talk these things through when you can't run over to the bench or anything?
Yeah, well, I think on the bench too, the guys can say to each other, like, hey, come on, let's go, or hey, nice play, hey, whatever. But, in the run of a play, if I make a blocker save and there's still a rebound, guys aren't going to be like, oh, hey, nice job, Knapper. That's just not going to happen. So I just, constantly reminding myself, there's certain benchmarks in the game where, first, we always talk about the first 3 minutes, last 3 minutes of a period, can't give up a goal. On the penalty kill, got to be the best player. You can't make a second save without making the first one. Got to be calm, cool, collected. All these things, I just say to myself. And I think it's probably part of it. I do get lonely back there sometimes, but I don't get lonely on the road when I got when the other team's student section's behind me. That's for sure. But it's just like I said. It's just I don't even realize I do half the stuff I do. If other people enjoy it, great. But as long as it helps me stop the puck, I'll keep doing weird stuff.
Are you one of those goaltenders that likes to interact with the visiting fans behind you, or you ignore them?
Not at all. Occasionally I'll hear stuff if something's really directed at me, occasionally I'll hear it, but usually guys will, or someone will tell me what someone said after the game. I'm like, oh, ha, funny. But during a game, I only hear him chant when I get scored on, and I try to keep that to a minimum, but it happens.
I know Zach's been waiting for this discussion because it came up actually in a text thread with Bruce and I. We had Max Plant at the podium for a post game a few weeks ago. We already actually brought this up partially with you. Yep. Zach brought it up because he didn't think it was real.
I thought it was made up. I thought it was a misquote.
Yeah. A few weeks ago, and Max is starting to get more comfortable with his media interviews, but he just kind of blurts things out, which is fun. He just what's in his head, it comes out, and it's great. But he was asked a question about you, and he dropped the nickname Napkin for you. And Zach thought that a couple of us misquoted Max, but Napkin, and that prompted we're like, well, what other nicknames do you give Klayton? And Knapper is obviously the easy one, but Kidnapper, Broad Street, that was out of left field, and he said we need to have you explain that one.
Yeah.
Max is also good at the Plant brothers are very good at that as well. I don't know, ask him, make him tell you the story. So let's start with Broad Street. Explain that one to me. Where does that nickname come from?
That one we'll have to discuss off air.
That's an off-air explanation.
That's an off-air explanation.
Okay, that's why Max deflected on that one.
Yeah, that's not one that needs to get out there.
That's an in-team.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Napkin. You said that's actually one that goes back to your time as a kid?
Yeah, that one goes way back. So I used to go to our babysitter's house, whatever, and I would never want to leave. I'm always playing, doing something. And when I heard that front door open and my dad would walk in every single day, napkins, let's go. Because it was me and my brother. And once I heard that, I was like, oh, fun's over. And I'd never told anything. The guys made that up by themselves. And when they said that, I was like, how do you guys know? That goes way back. But I don't know. Like you said, the Plants are usually good for bringing stuff out of left field.
So they didn't know that your parents called you that when you were a kid?
No, they had no idea. They just started calling me Napkin. And then, I think I told them, I was like, hey, How do you guys know about that?
Because I'll be honest, at first I thought it was made up because I texted Matt and Bruce. I'm like, did Max really say that? He said Knapper, right? And this got misheard. And I'm like, no, that's what he said.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, that's a terrible nickname. We got to work on the nickname. But then you told me that your parents came up with it, and I felt bad.
Yeah.
But if the guys came up with it on their own without knowing the backstory, I'm back to thinking that the guys can do better for you.
Yeah, I mean, Napkin's okay. I don't think there's anything.
Okay, as long as you like it,
I don't know. I'll respond to anything. Hey, you works for me.
How many nicknames do you have?
Oh, not as many as Riley Bernardchuk, that's for sure. Oh gosh, we could be here for an hour talking about his nicknames, but I don't know. I think Knapper, Napkin, Kidnapper, Broad Street.
I think Kidnapper's a good goal. Like, that's a good goalie nickname.
I like
right
that
there.
one. That's personally my favorite. That's my favorite. I like
that's a
Kidnapper.
back of the goalie mask type thing.
Who came up with that one? Do you remember where that one started?
I think Kyle Bettens. I think Kyle Bettens said it jokingly probably one day when we were all hanging out, and when Betsy says something, it usually sticks around for a while. So
who has the best nickname on the team?
Zach Sandy.
Zach Sandy with JR.
Junior.
Yeah. Which everyone had to create out of necessity because Scott was not thinking when he put his goalie room together of multiple Zachs and picking someone with his own nickname. I don't know what he was thinking.
2 Zachs and 2 Sandys. That's a tough one to keep in mind.
It was literally like the first question we asked at the start of the season. Like, what are we supposed to do here? How do we distinguish all these? Who has the oddest nickname? You said Riley Bodnerchuk has?
Oh yeah, Bodsy's got so many. I mean, can opener. You guys will have to watch us play soccer pregame to know what that means.
Okay.
Or see us at a swimming pool or something. Bernard Duck. I mean, I don't even know. They're like we make them up. There's new ones every day. So
okay, this is a constantly evolving process.
I mean, however many days he's been at UMD, that's probably how many nicknames he has.
So we need to dedicate like an entire podcast where he just comes on here and just recites all his.
Bring
nicknames.
him and Aaron Pionk in and talk about nicknames, and you guys will have a good time.
Yeah, who's the guy, the best creator of nicknames? Is it Pionk?
Pionk and Bettens.
And Bettens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pionks usually go along with the name. Bettens usually way off track, but it always makes sense, and they're usually funny, so they stick around for a while. Tell
us about your goalie mask. I mentioned goalie masks there. Specifically that back plate. You got the paw print with the letters BSITI written on it. Start there. Tell us about the goalie mask.
So the paw print, like in the paws, are the area codes of all the places I've played hockey. So 419 is Toledo, 920 is Green Bay, 701 is Bismarck, and I think 571 or something.
507.
507 is Austin.
Okay.
When I played for the Bruins. So yeah, those are the places, just kind of, to remind me of, the path that I took to get here, and that's what I was thinking there when I did that. And then the inside the paw, it's BSITL, and it means be strong in the Lord.
Okay.
And so, that's something that, I met a guy last year, his name's Sean in Bismarck, and he owns a company called Right Side Up Lifestyle, and his company is dedicated to living life the right way. He had some challenges through his life, and he decided to dedicate his life to creating something that benefits others, and he's very successful now, and he helps so many other people. So his license plate on his car is that, I'm pretty sure, and I have some merchandise from him, and that's kind of what his company is, and that's something I really adopted as I've grown in my faith, and just trusting that God's got a plan for me. So I just figured I'd throw that on there as a, kind of as a thank you to Sean for everything he's done in my life, but also as a reminder to myself. I look at my back plate before I put my helmet on, and I say a quick prayer before I go on the ice every period, every game, and I remind myself, be strong in the Lord. And, that's the reason I'm here. So
it's good for a goalie to have faith, because you need it every once in a while, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you definitely, you need the big man upstairs every once in a while. Well, always, but.
How else does that puck hit the exact right spot on a stick when you throw it out there?
Exactly.
You mentioned Bismarck, one of the places you played before coming to UMD. Austin, also in the North American League. Yeah. UMD has had a lot of success with goalies that have either come right from the North American League here or gone through it at one time. Mm-hmm. What about that league helped you? And what do you think it is about that league that creates good goaltending?
Yeah, well, I think it's the way the NAL is played. It's kind of similar to college hockey. It's a very, obviously on a different level. It's a very simple game. All the divisions are so small. I think we have 8-9 teams in the NCHC, and the Central Division of the North American League was 6 or 7 teams when I was there. So, there's two different things. So in Austin, I was a 17-year-old kid, turned 18 halfway through the year. And, I was young, but I played almost every game. I think I played 37 out of the 45 games I was there. So I got to play a lot, get a ton of experience, saw every single possible outcome there is in hockey there. And, transitioned to that year in Green Bay, pretty much a wash, but still learned a lot. And then Bismarck, I give all credit to Bismarck. I mean, that place is like a second home to me. I love Bismarck more than anything, from my host family to the coaches, really. And, just the support staff there and everybody. But the biggest thing about Bismarck was having Lane Sedevy as my coach. He's a goalie guy. He played at Bemidji. He's just such a great guy, always looking to help the goalies. And obviously everybody wanted to compare me to Hunter Shepard when I came here and all this stuff. And I mean, it's true, like he's every single goalie. I mean, he doesn't coach anymore. He stepped down to be with his family a little bit more. But every single goalie that he's had in the 14 years that's been there, at least one of his 2 goalies have went on scholarship to Division I, which says something about his development.
Your path to UMD went through obviously the Null and then Bismarck, and Matt wrote about it. It's been pretty well documented, but for people that don't know, take us through the Zoom call with the UMD coaching staff, because it's a really fun and unique recruiting story about how you made your commitment to the Bulldogs. Yeah,
well, it probably happened about a year ago, right around this time. Yeah, probably a year ago, maybe today. I don't even know, but so yeah, like I was going to the top prospects event in Pittsburgh for the North American League, and that week I ended up getting like an infected something in my leg, and I was just sweating like crazy every single night in bed, and I couldn't walk. My leg hurt so bad, and I'm like, what's going on? I ended up in the ER on 2 different times that week, just out of pain. And then our team was in North Iowa that weekend, so I didn't travel with them, which is great. It's a 9-hour bus ride. I was glad. And then so I still had to find a way to get to Minneapolis to catch my flight to Pittsburgh. So my host family in Bismarck, their extended family drove me 6 hours from Bismarck to Minneapolis to catch the flight. And then I met my team there, stayed with my cousins in Eden Prairie. They took me to the airport the next morning, met them there, and then flew to Pittsburgh, and then had no idea I was playing the first game. And then they're like, hey, Knapper, you're playing. I'm like, okay. And then the game starts like 30 minutes early, so I didn't even warm up. I'm like, okay, what is this? This is going to be terrible. And I ended up playing pretty well. And I talked to Coach Brandt after the game, and he's like, hey, Brandt from UMD, like what we see, I'll hop on a call with Krause later this week. So later in the week, hop on a phone call with Krause and talk to him again. And then he's like, all right, let's set up a Zoom call with Coach Sandlin and the rest of the staff, Coach Chop and everything. And yeah, that was on a Tuesday, like 2 p.m. in the afternoon after practice. So I hopped on the call. We talked for a while. And they said, here's what we're going to offer you. And like, what can we do to, make you a Bulldog? And I said, well, can I be a Bulldog right now? And they're like, well, don't you want some time to think about it? I'm like, no, like this is where I want to be. It's where I've always wanted to be. So yeah, I think Coach said it's the first person ever had come in on a Zoom call. So I'm glad I could be first for something.
Yeah, which is crazy because we went through the whole pandemic and everything like that.
Yeah.
So had you been to AMSOIL? I'm always curious when guys commit, and you're not the first that have kind of commit blindly. They get the offer and such, especially when it's late in the recruiting cycle and that. Had you been to AMSOIL before? Have you been to Duluth? How familiar were you with the program in the area?
Yeah, closest I've been to Duluth was Minneapolis. I had no idea. I mean, I remember, because growing up, I grew up around Bowling Green. I remember Bowling Green playing against UMD in the tournament in Allentown, I think, one year. 2018 maybe when we won it.
Yeah. Bowling Green wasn't... Wait, yeah, they were in. That's right. They were in that one.
Yeah, so I remember watching that game, and like that's kind of the first thing I thought of when I started talking with UMD. That one day, I was like, "Oh man, like this is crazy." Like I remember seeing, but I didn't. I mean, I knew we were a powerhouse. Didn't know much about the program, but yeah. So I luckily had some connections on the team, and they sent me videos, sent me stuff to look at, and said it's a great spot, and I put all my trust in them and said, let's do it.
How many, had you gotten any other offers for other colleges? Were you talking with any other schools at the time?
Yeah, I had a couple other offers, and I was talking with a few other schools. And then, once this one came up, I didn't really know exactly, what was going to be an option at this point. But once this one came up, I kind of put everything else on the back burner and went all in on this.
One thing that Scott has told us in this first part of your freshman season is he liked the fact that they had Adam Guyon coming in. They already knew that he was going to come in and be a strong competitor for the number one spot, but that didn't either come up or didn't phase you in the recruiting process. You kind of welcome the challenge of coming in and trying to compete for the spot. So was that ever a thing of thinking, hey, they got this guy who's highly touted coming in, I want to go compete with him? Or what was your thought process? Did it ever come up in your mind?
Honestly, never fazed me. I knew what Adam's capable of and knew his credentials and everything like that. But, I've always believed in myself. That's kind of what I had to do through my career, and I knew what I'm capable of, and whether other people thought I was capable of it or not, I kind of just said screw it, and I know how good I am, and I know what I can bring to a team, not only on the ice, but off the ice as a person too. And, I got the offer, and I knew what was coming in. I knew that, Zach's a junior goalie, Adam's coming in with high credentials, and I'm just, a guy coming out of the North American League. But deep down, I knew in myself, I'm going to come in and, I'm going to compete. I'm going to win that spot. And, that's what I work to do every day.
I was a soccer goalie at a much lower level than you and Adam and Sandy are playing at right now. But I know the struggle, right? When only one guy can play. And a lot of times in my career, it wasn't me. So I know what it's like to sit on the bench and watch another guy play. But how quickly did that relationship have to happen between you, Zach Sandy, and Adam Guyon when you get here? How is it I'm always amazed at the goalie room, right? Because it always seems like you guys are so close, but you're all competing for one spot on Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah, well, it started in the summer. We started group chat in the summer and talked with each other. And then, right when we got to school, whether it was going to be me, whether it was going to be Adam, whether it was going to be Zach, we all have to pull for one another. And the only way for each other to get better is if we push each other. And that's what we do. So when Adam was playing, me and Zach were pushing Adam. And, now that, I played the last few games and those two have been pushing me. And, if Zach gets in and plays for a little bit too, like me and Adam are going to have to push him. That's the way sports works. That's the way, goaltending works in college. And ultimately that's how you grow as a person and a player is, your spot's never secured no matter who you are.
All right. Some quick hits to close this out. How did you become a goalie?
Needed one when I was super young and loved the gear and loved being the center of attention. But now sometimes I regret it.
Questioning your life decision.
Yes.
How old were you when you became a goalie?
Full time?
Yeah.
11.
11? Okay.
10 or 11.
Okay.
Yep.
You faced them in practice. Who are the first three shooters you're picking for the Bulldogs in a shootout?
In a shootout?
Yeah. We've heard coach sometimes goes to you guys to ask for some advice.
I'll take Dom James. I'll take Anthony Mangini. And I'll take Jason Shogbe.
If you could play any other sport besides hockey, what would it be?
Baseball.
Baseball? I was going to say we had a conversation, I think, a little bit
Baseball,
about this.
No question.
We asked you for an analogy. I asked you a question, or Bruce, one of us asked you a question, and you immediately threw a baseball analogy out there.
Yeah.
How big were you into baseball?
Love baseball.
Love baseball.
Love baseball. Love baseball. I almost chose baseball over hockey. Glad I didn't, but it was a thought at one point.
Did you play all through high school?
My freshman year, and then sophomore year, COVID, and then junior year, I moved away to play juniors. So kind of got cut short, but it worked out. But I don't mind picking up the ball and a bat every now and then.
Yeah, we heard Zach open up the yearbook here on his soccer career. Adam Krause ever open up the yearbook and tell you about his baseball career?
He hasn't, but when I get to the rink here in a little bit, I'll have to go ask him.
We're going to set some time aside there.
Oh, yeah.
I think Adam might have gone to the state tournament in baseball. I mean, Minnesota State tournament, but still.
Yeah, Minnesota State baseball tournament, not the same as Minnesota State hockey tournament.
No, but it's still state. Still state. He was a pretty good baseball player.
State.
I think he was an all-area News Tribune player.
Yep.
He'll email in and correct us if he's listening to this episode. If you're not going to be a professional hockey player, or after your professional hockey career is over, what do you want to do in life?
Private wealth management.
Wealth management?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we're going to ask, this is a good question for a wealth management guy. Signing bonus money, if and when you do sign that pro contract. Boat, car, or house?
Down payment on a house for sure.
Down payment on a house. Okay.
Yep.
You're investing in real estate. Real estate. Okay.
In this world, you got to invest.
Yeah. Or none. He might choose none of the three, I guess.
Depending on how the real estate market's going.
Yeah.
Right.
Would you rather live on a lake, river, or mountain?
Oh. Can I have like a mountain with like a little like river running through it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Mountain.
So opposite of Ohio.
Yeah, not Ohio.
Flat cornfield.
Yeah, not a cornfield.
Not want to live next to a cornfield. I grew up near a cornfield too in Wisconsin. So
Grew up in a cornfield.
You grew up in a cornfield? Who are your roommates at home and on the road?
At home, Anthony Mangini, Aaron Pionk, Braden Fisher, Joey Pierce. On the road, I'm either with Trevor Stahoyak or I'm by myself.
So you didn't end up in a freshman apartment on Oakland?
No, I'm not in Oakland.
Okay. That sounds like an experience over there.
I've heard stories about Oakland, and
we've all heard
having a little bit of FOMO.
How'd you get to be by yourself on the road as a freshman? Is that a goalie thing?
Ask CK.
Okay.
Ask CK. I have no idea. I saw that, and I was like, oh, gosh, I'm going to get flamed for this. But, I mean, honestly, I didn't really like it. Like, it was boring. I was just sitting in my room. I felt like I just constantly had to go to other people's rooms. I was bored. I had nothing to do. I mean, there's only so much TikTok you can watch in a day. So.
All right, last one. This is just going to be the Adam Cleaver Max Plant Memorial question. If you could pick one restaurant to eat at once a week for a year, what would it be?
In Duluth or anywhere?
Let's go Duluth.
Duluth?
Yeah.
Oh.
They get to eat Chipotle. They got their unlimited Chipotle.
Not a gold medalist, so. Wow, I don't know.
Are they sharing that Chipotle with any of you guys?
They have, but I haven't gotten the offer yet.
Oh,
so
you haven't gotten an
feel
offer.
free, if you guys see them, let them know.
Yeah.
But one restaurant? Gosh, I don't know.
Is it easier if you go outside Duluth? Is there somewhere that's not in Duluth
No,
that you
I'm never hungry for the
missing?
same thing.
Okay.
You're a variety guy.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. My Bellicio's steak a couple weeks ago was good.
Yeah.
Only if it's paid for, though. It's expensive.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll take Bellicio's. It's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
See, that's what I think. I think I'd want to maximize my dollar.
Absolutely.
If I had like that.
I mean,
that,
if
pass.
I don't eat out much, but if I'm going to go out, I want to have something
Yeah,
good.
we made the other guys choose like fast food chains.
I think we did. Yeah, because it was so you could get it like at any other city.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Which that's even.
Police is
that-
a good pick though.
In that case, it would be Chipotle.
It'd be
if I'm with
Chipotle.
Max and Adam for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, because they're hopefully
then I'm not
gonna
paying.
Yeah, hopefully hook you guys all up. All right, that's all the time we have on the Bulldog Insider podcast this week. Clayton, thanks a lot for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. It was a good start to the morning.
Yeah. Early morning recording to all of you. If the podcast is ever a little goofy, just be like, oh, they recorded that one at 9 a.m. You can find more episodes of the Bulldog Insider podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Like us, subscribe, and rate us. For more Bulldogs hockey coverage, visit DuluthNewsTribune.com/Bulldog Insider. Subscribe to gain access to all of our coverage all season long. Zach, what does the TV schedule look like this week? We have both teams back at Amsoil after they were on the road last week. Women against Minnesota State, men against Arizona State.
Yeah, and I got the weekend off, as we talked about last week, when both teams were on the road, so I enjoyed that, but I pay for it this weekend because we got all 4 games. So it'll be a busy Friday, Saturday, but 2 games Friday, 2 games Saturday on My Nine Sports.
I love that it's going to be like dropping sub-zero temperatures, too, for Arizona State to come here.
Yeah, can we play that game outdoors?
Yeah, this is
Is it too late to change it?
Is it going to be that cold?
It's going to be cold this week. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, people listen to this on Thursday, so it should already be cold.
You've seen the movie Mystery Alaska, right? Where the
Yeah.
Rangers have to go up in Alaska and it's freezing and they sing the long national anthem. That's what they should do to Arizona State when they
just
come up.
extended national anthem. Yeah. It was beautiful when we were down at
What a treat
in
that
Tempe.
was.
Yeah, that was great.
Wearing shorts to the rink,
Yeah, hanging out at the
riding around
the
on
pool.
scooters,
Yeah,
pool on the 8th floor. Oh,
yeah. Were you in the group? A couple guys almost ran me over one day. They were cruising one night on the scooters. I wasn't paying attention. I was watching the Packer game on my phone, walking down the street. But not repaying the favor. Beautiful weather when we were down in Tempe. Not repaying the favor. Sorry, Arizona State.
Beautiful weather for Duluth.
Yeah, it's beautiful for Duluth. Get out there, enjoy the beautiful weather, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.